conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Doug Smith. This is our first podcast of the new year, our first podcast of 2026. And as always, it is wonderful to be with everybody today. Alex and I are both here. Alex and I had good holidays, and we hope that you guys had good holidays also. We made a lot of progress on the book, getting chapter 8, chapter 7, which was a very tough chapter to write. I actually really like the way that it came out. And I'm very excited for some of you guys to read chapter 7 and give me your feedback. I was very happy with the way it came out. Chapter 8 should be over to the editors. I'm guessing Wednesday, and then that just leaves chapter 9. Okay, chapter 9 in the graphics. Although the editors have asked me to do a little chapterette at the end on a specific topic, but that won't take long. That's an easy one. So we're coming up real fast on the book being ready to be published and get it over to Amazon, and as many as you guys as possible to buy the book. The ebook, we're hoping Amazon's going to put the price at under $10, which means you can because quite frankly, if you don't buy the book, Amazon doesn't take you seriously, but if you buy the book and you leave a review, that's what Amazon takes seriously, and that's what we're after here when we get this thing ready to go. Now, if you take a look at the screen there, this is a graphic that I'm thinking of using in chapter 1. This is all of the science that one has to ignore in order to believe in the diagnosis of opioid addiction. Okay. In other words, if you want to believe in the diagnosis of opioid addiction, and if there are those of you who do, we are not going to stand in your way. Okay. You're free to believe anything you want to believe. Okay. Same goes for horoscopes. Same goes for anything along those lines. Okay. You want to believe in leprechauns and unicorns, you just go right ahead. Okay. But if you want to believe in opioid addiction, then what you're saying is all the science that's on the screen there in front of you is wrong. Okay, all the science that's on the screen there in front of you is wrong, and that's tough. That's a tough take. All the science that's on the screen there in front of you is wrong. Wow. Okay, because there is a lot of science on that screen. Okay, and there's a lot of really good science, and there's a lot of science that replicates itself. Okay, on that screen there, oh my gosh, you've got Nielsen from 2009 was the first one that really laid out well that there was an association between DNA damage, methylation, and the opioids, and then of course followed up by Shorbov, who showed that not only could the damage be measured in cells in the blood, it could also be measured in sperm, which in 2011 pretty much told everybody, hey, this stuff can be passed down to future generations. You can inherit this stuff. Okay, and the point being, those were two fantastic, wonderful opportunities for the pharmaceutical companies to issue a warning, and they didn't. They failed to issue a warning. Okay, and the list there just goes on and on and on. We cover every single one of these articles, these every bit of this research. We cover it in the book. Okay, so that's chapter 3 and chapter 4 right there. Okay, what you're looking at on the screen right there, that's chapter 3 and chapter 4. Is going through that science line by line by line, laying out what you have to ignore if you want to believe in the diagnosis of opioid addiction. And at the end of the day, it's just too much science to ignore. You cannot ignore this amount of science. Okay, and this is very well done science. I mean, my gosh, Nielsen is at the Rockefeller Center. Shorbov is medical school in St. Louis. Walkman is at Boston Medical Center. Jose Vladimir Sandoval Sierra is at University of Tennessee. I mean, this is beautifully done, very well done, serious science. And if when you do get into this, the study there by Dell, that's the one that I think really really stands out. Is the study by Dell. That's a study that showed that when people get sick, they're losing control of the nerves that control the organs, and one of the main nerves that they're losing control of is a nerve controlling the adrenal gland. Um, and by the way, the studies by Daglish and Watson, which are the studies that just disprove that their ridiculous dopamine theory of addiction. Those are on here also. So there's just an incredible amount of good science there. If you really want to understand the opioid crisis, you really need to be able that when you see these articles, you need to go, oh, that's the one about this, that's the one about that, that's the one about this, that's the one about that, and we can get you to that level. We'll take you through every single one of these studies one by one by one. Okay, and we'll tell you, what matters in the study. Okay, that's what we do. That's what we do on this podcast. That's what we do in the book. That's who and what we are. We want you to look at the science. We want you to come to your own conclusions. Okay, if anybody's ever told you that you're a drug addict, if anybody's ever told you that you were an opioid addict, okay, we want to present the science to you, and we want you to make your own decision. Are they right or are they wrong? And we believe you'll find that the science is what the science is saying is that overwhelmingly they're wrong. They're just wrong. So that's the graphic that I'm looking to lead into chapter 1 with. I like it. It's like a wall of science, and I like that. It's impressive. Okay, I like looking at the articles one by one, but it's kind of cool to see them all tied in together like that. Okay, that's the look at that screenshot. I mean, that's the screen. That's it. If you want to believe you're an opioid addict, you gotta turn your back on the science that's on that screen right there in front of you. So, all right, everybody, welcome back. It's wonderful to start off the new year again. Don't forget to like and subscribe us. Don't forget to post this podcast on your social media, everybody else's social media. Don't forget to send Alex thank you note. He does a lot of work. And everybody, we will see you tomorrow at the usual time at 2:30. In fact, we'll see everybody Monday through Thursday this week at 2:30. Have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye-bye.